This video will be showing the last boss fight segment and story, so spoilers ahead, if other videos have not done that already, that is. This video is almost a part 2 of the first Cult of the Lamb video I did, but the difference is I've beaten the game. If you want to see the first one, I'll put a card in the top right now. One thing I have not been able to say in a while is, well, that the game was satisfying to the end. This was in general a great game to play, as recently I was stuck on Siege, Extraction, and Gears 5 and a couple other titles. This game breathed a new form of life, with it feeling like a smaller but more passionate game that creators came up with and had no restrictions in making. The story's ending was somewhat predictable, with you becoming a sacrifice again but rebelling against your god, which triggers a multi-phase boss fight, and continuing. A story does not need to be complex for it to be good, and can even be predictable in some cases. This game did have its extra lore, but we never figured out our character's name. Going back to boss fights, this game has the most satisfying boss fights I've played in a while. Each boss fight had the classic safe to attack moment, and in almost all cases I've always felt like it was my fault if I died. The bosses I struggled on were number 2 and number 3, but both these died due to a certain glitch. The final boss fight felt like a classic build-up in Armory before the fight, as the start allows you to select your arsenal. The fight never had one phase that I disliked and felt like overcoming odds and fighting certain aspects of all the other bosses in the game. The fight never felt too ridiculously tough and threw in free moments of that dopamine hit when you get multiple hits on the enemy. The way it puts your followers on the line is a nice touch too, and it shows that in the end, your followers worship you, not the god himself. In a weird way, kinda wholesome. The thing I found kinda strange is that there was no real version of a time limit. I would usually expect from a game like this for there to be diminishing returns if you took too long to get to your god, but there was no form of it present, and I love this. Allowing people to do what they want is great, especially in a game where you can make occult structures to prove everyday life. The followers felt like a mixed bag. As I recall, the trailers emphasizing the idea of sacrificing, in the end it also tells you how many people you sacrificed, but for me, that was only 2. There never felt a need to sacrifice followers, and there was even a resurrection option. So I kept Gary, my first follower, alive to the very end. Also took 20 followers to enter the final area, when I had about 30. It was more advantageous to keep everyone alive. It does feel like sometimes that these followers can't really do anything themselves, but in the end part, they were an unbelievable help. The collecting of blueprints and follower forms was done in an extremely clever way. You could go through Crusade slowly completing your collection via chest. However, each biome had its own store that you could go to and purchase the same schematics, and even forms with coins. These were almost always only visual and no real statistical benefit. There is something really satisfying about completing a section in your collection. This game I can confidently say is a 10 out of 10, especially with its price tag. Yes, there are little bugs. However, with how popular the game is, the developers are going to continue adding updates. And if you read the roadmap on the main menu, it says free updates, which caught me off guard. I would not be opposed to having to pay for $3, $5 DLCs, but it seems they just want to create a game that does not solely have money in mind. Probably doesn't hurt for them, no. If you want a game that feels like there was joy and crazy ideas put in, I can't recommend this game enough. One last note, I am excited to see speedrunners and challenge runs be done for this game.